how's it going? And welcome to our review on the Google Nexus 5 smartphone. This is a recent acquisition for me. It actually entailed switching to a new carrier just so I could get my hands on this little puppy. Now, the other phone I had is the LG Optimus, and I've had this for quite a while, and of course another product of LG. Now this one is made by LG for Google, okay, where this is made by LG for LG, okay. Now the Nexus actually does come unlocked already, so if you ever switch carriers or whatever, you can go to any carrier you want, slap in a SIM, away you go. Where this phone here needs to be unlocked, and you can get unlock codes anywhere from 10 to 20 bucks online, or you can go through your carrier and pay a really huge price. And some of these third-party booths and malls, it'll also charge you a king's ransom. Now this is not my first LG Optimus either. I've also had another one before, and I actually unlocked it for like $10, so that was pretty decent. So anyway, a lot changes on cell phones all the time. Technology is amazing. I've had cell phones since they first hit the public market, so that's been quite a while. So yeah, I remember the old antique big huge phones. Now I never did get that one. I waited, and then I started with a Motorola flip phone, much smaller, lighter too. So yeah, I've been around cell phones for a long time. And the advances that have been made in even such a short time that we've had these things, phenomenal. And the Google Nexus 5 was something that I didn't research ahead of time. I went in and I talked to a different carrier, and I said, well, what do you got that's solid? Because even my carrier really didn't have anything that was not just appealing to me, but also solid. And to me, when you buy a cell phone, whether it's a zero down deal or you're paying cash, you want something that you like, but it also has to be stable. And sometimes you may have to get something you may not necessarily 100% like, but you want the stability. You're going to have to settle down and make a compromise somewhere. In this case, I got the best of both worlds. Not only did I get something I really like, but I also got the stability, and that was very important, and access to updates. A lot of cell phone companies out there putting out cell phones from many different manufacturers. These phones have like either very little or no updates at all. So you really got to be cautious when you're getting into a cell phone, and also look at all the good and bad points as best as you can. And because of what happened with this phone, of course, my charge port was finally catafied, and I've been screwing around with it to try and get it normal again, and at least I got the plug-in halfway now, so it will actually take a charge. So this is not something that I would even sell off to anybody, not unless I can repair it. But that's going to take time and patience and a little bit of, well, I've never actually taken a cell phone apart in pieces before, so this will be a first. Because I could only do so much through the port here to get access to stuff. I'm going to have to take it apart and see what might even be just sticking in there that I can't really get at. That's probably all it is, but we'll find out. But anyway, either way, I needed a new phone, but I also needed something current because I like playing with RC stuff. As a lot of you guys know, I'm into the hobby grade sort of thing, but I also do a lot of reviews on things, and I may get the odd toy grade Wi-Fi device, and I'm going to need a phone that's going to work with that as stable gets anyways, for that. And one of which is, I was looking at an AR drone not that long ago that a friend of mine had, and this phone here, my LG Optimus, couldn't connect for more than a couple of seconds and it would drop. So it's like, that's useless. So yeah, and the AR Drone 2.0 really needs at least KitKat. And this thing already came with 5.0 on it, so that was kind of nice. So I'm already above. And the 5.1.1 Lollipop update, that made this thing virtually bulletproof. So when I went and talked to my courier, the new one I went with, I said, look, don't lie to me to make a sale, okay? I'm getting disgusted. Because we went around to different places, and talking to different people, and it's mostly a lot of them are actually brain dead idiots, to be honest. They're there to make a sale. They'll tell you anything to make the sale. Even if they know it's a lemon phone, they will still push it on you because they're on commission. They have to sell so many phones a month, or they could be out of a job, so they're not going to sit there and actually tell you the truth and discourage you from stuff. Very few places actually will. And this place was very honest, and I told them, look, I'm tired of the lies, I'm tired of the BS. I want to know the truth. What have you got, and what do you got that's current? What do you got that can get updates and is almost bulletproof? And that's when they suggested this to us. And we now have 2 of them. My wife has her own. And truth be told, it is virtually bulletproof once you do that 511 update. Because even they told us that just with what comes on it for an OS, there are some flaky issues with the Nexus 5, which you can find all over the web. But when you go to that 511 update, she's virtually bulletproof, which I really appreciate. I've had no dropped calls unless it was my cheek hitting the hang up button, which I'm bad for at times. I've had no random restarts yet. I've had no freeze ups. I've had no programs quit on me. And it's like, wow, this is actually a really rock solid phone, and it is made by LG for Google, okay? And the nice thing about that too is the fact that with Google, they're going to keep you up to date for as long as they can, at least with this model. And there is a Nexus 6 and 7 out, but I haven't even looked into those, and my courier didn't have them anyways. Otherwise, I probably would have taken a look at them as well. But I also didn't want a massively huge phone, okay? I wanted 1080p front rear cameras. I didn't really mind in this case that it didn't have expandable storage space for SD cards like my LG does. This thing comes with 16 or 32 gig. That's it. You have a choice when you get these phones, and there's no expansion slots. And that's fine, because even on my LG here, all I get with this thing for any memory really is an 8 gig SD, which I can upgrade, and which is great. But even with 8 gigs, I've never had to worry about running out of space. I'm not a gamer, on a phone. That's why I bought a real computer for, and I bought high-end, because I don't do Xboxes and stuff. But even with all the stuff I've jammed into this phone, I've never once filled up my entire 8 gig card. I've never needed to upgrade it. So for a 16 gigabyte phone, for storage on this thing, even once you minus the OS out of that, 16 gigs and stuff, there is still a whack ton load of space there to have fun with programs, I'm not a real text freak, although I do texting, here and there. I hate it, but I do it. I'd rather talk to a human being on the phone, because you can actually say what you need a lot easier and better. But I am extremely, extremely impressed with this phone. Now, just as a heads up before we continue, my final score rating on this phone, I'm definitely comfortable, even after, only having this for almost a month. I'm definitely comfortable with putting this thing at a really good, solid, I really seriously have to do this. I have to put this thing at a really good, solid 4 out of 5. It does have some drawbacks, let's face it. It's not perfect technology. When you initially get it, there are bugs, but you do the updates to 511, and you got a virtually bulletproof phone at that point. Okay, it does not have upgradable memory, which a lot of you will find as a bad side. So I am kind of dinging that a little bit. Otherwise, I have nothing bad to say about the phone. Okay, so let's continue on now with the phone. Now, I'm going to open up my computer here because I have a website up that has the full line specs. I don't memorize everything, but I'm going to read you some of the specs. You can feel free to go to this site too. It's called gsmarena.com, and you can search out a lot of phones on here that you're looking at, etc. and see what they've got, what's being offered, you know. And then also I would suggest going to YouTube videos, reviews everywhere you can find them on particular phones you're looking at, and see what people say about it. Alright, so the network technology with this for networks is GSM, CDMA, HSPA, and LTE. Now I am on a LTE network with my carrier. Now the launch of this phone, the announced time period was 2013 of October. The status of availability release was the following month of November 2013. Now, how accurate this information really is, I can't tell you right now. I have a lot more things to research, but it probably is fairly accurate. And the reason I say this is because a lot of the cell phones, and I do mean a lot of the cell phones on the market, were already made and out on other markets like European markets and Asian markets and whatnot for at least 2 to 4 years before Canada and the US got access to these phones, which our countries say, look at the newest, greatest phone we have, blah, blah, blah. It's not that new. It's already been out on the market somewhere else, okay, for a long time already. So, new to us though, right? So there's still a little bit of, you know, but I'm not too worried about it. I mean, hey, the thing is current OS and is virtually bulletproof now as far as any kind of bugs and stuff. So I'm kind of really happy with this. And the fact that it is a Google supported phone by Google, that says volumes to me, because Google likes to keep things bug free as possible all the time. How long they're going to support OS updates, I have no idea. Time will tell, right? But eventually they will cut it off because, you know, new emerging technologies all the time. I'm not going to bother getting into dimensions other than, hey, it's a 4.95-inch screen, so round it out to 5-inch screen. True HD, IPS, and capacitive touchscreen with 16 million color palette with it. The resolution of the screen is 1080 by 1920 pixels in your HD. Multi-touch, yes. Corning Gorilla Glass 3 for your glass. You can get also tempered glass to go over top of this and make it even stronger yet, which I will be doing, because I am actually bad for dropping phones. That's why I bought a hardcore ballistics case for this thing to make it totally bulletproof as far as, you know, I drop it, I don't worry about it, type of thing. And so I really want to get this thing protected soon, but I'm still looking at cases. Android 5.0 Lollipop comes with it, upgradable to the 5.1.1 Lollipop, which I've done my updates. Do the updates over Wi-Fi. Don't use your data plan. I only have a gig of data with my plan I'm on, and although I could get more, I don't need to pay gazoodles for a bill every month. So I pay $60 a month for this thing right now with a gig of RAM, or sorry, a gig of data, and I get unlimited, you know, nationwide calling 24/7, unlimited text, video, picture, messaging, all that jazz. You know, for $60 a month, I'm getting a really sweet deal. Okay, and I also have a protection plan on this, which I like too, because if something happens to this phone, it only cost me $100 and they send me a brand new phone, which is really awesome. So nice deductible. You know, you got to pay something towards it. Chipset, Qualcomm MSM8974 Snapdragon 800. The CPU is a quad-core 2.3 gigahertz Cray at 400. The GPU is an Adreno 330. Now this is where I was saying, you know, no memory card slot, but you do have internal of 16 or 32 gigs, and you have 2 gigabytes of memory, which runs the operating system and all your programs and your video games and all that, and it's more than sufficient. Primary camera out the back is an 8 megapixel with a resolution of 3264 by 2448 pixels for the 8 megapixel 1080p camera at the back. Has autofocus, optical image stabilization, LED flash. Geotagging, touch features, face detection, photosphere, HDR dual recording. Your video in your front is 1080p 30 frames per second, optical stabilization. etc. 1.3 megapixel. Okay. I'm just going to skip a few features here. Like I said, feel free to go to this website. The battery has a rated standby. This is not touching anything, not playing with your phone, just standby of up to 300 hours, okay, which is pretty good. Talk time is up to 17 hours. And I'll attest to that. I talk on this phone a lot every day, and even I don't have to put it back on the charger again during the day until it's time to go to bed at night. And so that's actually pretty good. If I do have to do it ahead of time, it's because I was playing a lot of video games and sucking the battery down. Because talk time is one thing. Sucking a battery down, playing video games, that makes the machine really work, especially when you play really high-end video games. It's going to eat your battery, so just be aware. And that's with any phone. I don't care what phone it is. You know, you're going to chew battery power like nuts when you're playing video games. Colors, black, white, and red for this phone. They get into test, benchmarks, endurance, and all that other jazz. Okay, so we really don't need to talk much about that at all. So let's fire the phone up here. Now, it does not come with very much bloatware or software, just basic stuff. Some phones will come with a lot of stuff, like my Optimus came with a lot of stuff and a lot of bloatware too, which was useless software. But this doesn't come with a ton, which is good, because then it leaves you a lot of space to fill it up yourself. I've got programs on here like Zedge, the Weather Network. I have a resistor color calculator for electronics, because I'm into that sort of stuff, and sometimes I need to know things, because there's no way you memorize every single resistor on the planet. I have a flashlight program on this, which is actually pretty cool, and you just slide it up, boom, and it's got a nice little sound to it. Okay, now there is a built-in one too, which at first I didn't know about. I was still learning things at the time. And you just scroll all this down. Flashlight, your network, your internet, your Bluetooth, auto rotate, cast screen, location, etc. Flashlight, and there's your flashlight. So you don't even need a flashlight program, it's already there for you, but I like the extra program on the side because it actually looks kind of cool. So that's kind of neat. So I use that. My Zedge for my ringtones, wallpapers. My games. Now, I'm not a big gamer. I've got some Escaping the Prison game. Looney Tunes, now that sucks my battery a bit. Alien Invasion, sucks my battery a bit. Pool Mania, not so much. 4 picks, 1 word, really isn't hard on the battery. Glow Hockey isn't that hard. But these are all the games I have right now. Maybe I'll get more over time. Like I said, I'm not a real big game freak. That's what I bought a laptop for. And even on that, I have no game time really for video games anymore. Photo program, that's part of the OS. Google, Gmail, Google+, your Maps program, Calendar, Keep, Drive, and YouTube. Some basic programs that they figure you'll use the most, which are part of the OS. They actually threw in here ahead of time for you. I mostly use the Gmail, which can also, by the way, run all your other Hotmail programs for, Hotmail. And probably many others as well. You can do them all through Google Gmail now and just have access to all your accounts in one spot. This liquid image program, that's mine. That's for my liquid image camera. I have a bubble level, which is kind of actually a really cool toy for having a level handy. Fairly accurate too, by the way. Yellow Pages, that's mine. Settings, getting into stuff like your display, for example. Sleep after 30 seconds of inactivity. I actually need to change that to 1 minute. Adaptive brightness, optimizes brightness level for available light. Then your main brightness level. Clock, font size, your basic general stuff. This I found really interesting. With Lollipop, to uninstall programs, we had like a task manager program in 4.04 and a few others. This thing was like, okay, now I got my program, I know that, but how the hell do I get rid of it now if I want to, right? So let's go to Alien Invasion and just click on it. Now we can uninstall it if we want, right? Bingo, I like that, and it also tells you, about the total space, the app itself, etc., a lot of information, the permissions that it needs to run the program. If for some reason you need to force stop a program, that's available to be done. It's a feature. So I thought that was really interesting once I figured that out. So it's like, you know, because my wife, she's got the same phone. She's like, how do you get rid of something? It's like, here, do this, boom, 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 boom. You know, so I actually had my phone before her. She had to wait almost a month to get hers. Anyway, sound notifications, all that stuff. My ringtone is actually very annoying, but I like it. It can wake the dead pretty much. Battery tells you approximate, 2 days left of the battery at 95%. Screen is using about 2%, Android's using 1%, etc. It's kind of a nice little flow chart they give you here too. Users, location, security, accounts, backup and reset, date and time printing through with Cloud Print. About the phone, that's where you can get in, get your phone number, etc. System updates. I'm running Android 5.11 on this phone, and there's all kinds of other information. So it's not a hard OS to get around. They give you a calculator program. Now this calculator, some people will like, some people will be like, oh, that's disgusting, My wife actually didn't like this calculator. She downloaded something that she liked. And that's the nice thing. You can use what you like, and that's great. Play Store app, of course, you go to the Play Store. Now going into here, this is where you get access to all the programs that come with it. So you get like Docs, Downloads, Drive, Earth, Contacts, Clock, Chrome, Camera, Calculator, Calendar, Adobe Air is something third party I had to put in to run a game. Your Gmail, your Google settings, your Google Plus. Get out of there. Come on. Maps, Hangouts, play games, playbooks, play news stand, your phone, play movies. Play games, Sheets, Twitter. You don't get a ton of software that's bloatware. There's very little of this that is actually useless stuff. So you do get quite a bit of useful stuff that doesn't even take up much space at all. So that's actually pretty nice. I really appreciate that. They didn't overdo it. Like my LG phone came with a fair amount of stuff. There's other phones that will just come loaded with all kinds of garbage that it's like, why do they do this to us? It's kind of like computers, right? When we buy a brand new computer, especially these name brand ones, they fill them full of friggin' bloatware programs and stuff that we'll never even use. So this was a nice phone that it wasn't overly loaded. The display is really nice. Camera, let's fire that up a bit. And you can see a little bit, here, I'll see how clear this gets for you. But there's some batteries there. Boom. It autofocuses it, and that is like a really nice picture. I don't know how well you're going to see it through the camera, but trust me, it's a sweet picture. Okay, now, if you go click here, click this one, it rotates. So, let's see if I can get this in the view here. So there you go. Now you can snap pictures, you can run, video, that sort of stuff. Pretty cool. Really like this thing. Go to the other camera, switch it back again, back to our battery picture. Okay, so, and of course you slide this way, because that's camera mode, this is video mode. Okay, so you can shoot your video. Go here, go to your front camera, and then you can shoot a video, a selfie video if you like. There we go, get my face in there too, you see both cameras, there we go. So yeah, and then switch it to the back again. A lot of fun this thing. In 1080p, front and rear, that's really sweet. I really like that. And also the neat thing too I like about this OS too is you go back to the camera, wherever you last had it for shooting video or just snapshots, it's still there. So, if you're the kind of person like me, I do a lot of video stuff. For my YouTube videos, of course, I use the camera I'm using now to record this with. but I also will use a cell phone at times when I need to. It's nice to have that already there. I don't have to worry about, oh, do I need to switch it, right? But then you also have Lens Blur, Paranorma. Photosphere is kind of a neat little program, part of the thing. Then of course you push on this little guy, and you can change resolution, quality, save location, advanced help and feedback settings. So it's pretty straightforward. Very little to know to run the thing. You know, it's very nice. So I'm pretty sure you guys would appreciate this thing too. And for me, I mean, the price was perfect. It's a zero down phone on the contract, but you can buy these phones outright if you choose to. You know, they will vary on price depending where you're going to get them. Some places are a little more inexpensive. Some are a little bit on the really super high side, you know. But it would be a phone that, you know, if you want good stability, you know, in the phone, you want some good quality there, something that's updatable for as long as Google will support it for updates for Android. You know, there's definitely the pluses there. The speakerphone is very nice and loud and clear, you know, and a few of my buddies couldn't even tell at the time, immediately anyways, that I was even talking to them on a speakerphone, which was kind of cool. And but yeah, it is a very, very nice phone. I'm very pleased with it. And if this is a sort of, you know, avenue you're looking towards for a phone, then, you know, you don't mind a few of the things where, you know, you can't put in an SD card, for example. Well, then, you know, hey, it's good. And like I said, this thing, this Optimus has been running on 8 gigabytes, and it's still fine. You know, even for shooting video in 1080p, it's still good. You know, for the file size and everything. And this one here equally is good, you know. In fact, this I find is a very much nicer picture to the LG Optimus, but I'm not comparing phones today. Definitely a worthwhile machine. Now the charger that comes with this thing too, by the way, is just a standard USB cable with this charger that you can just disconnect, so you can charge it via the wall socket or a USB port on a computer, no problem. And the charger plugs in right under here. Boom, that easy. You know, there's no little flap to move out of the way either, which I found was always an annoyance on my LG Optimus. I had to, you know, flip this flap out of the way, then get it in there, and that was a little annoying, especially with my case on top of the phone. It was like, oh man, it's like I gotta dig in, you know. But I mean, hey, you put a case on anything, you know, and you have a flap in the way, it's gonna be annoying. But yeah, so it just plugs in, real simple, real easy, smooth operation. You know, to plug it in, there's a little dimple under here on the connector. The dimple goes down. Okay, this way, you know, just so you don't plug it in, try plugging it in backwards. Because if you try plugging it in backwards, you can break your power connector, so don't plug it in backwards. But anyways, pretty simple, easy. Charge time, it only takes a couple hours. I mean, and even at that, I think it's only about an hour to maybe 2 hours tops. I never really pay attention as far as charge times go. Honestly, it's just I throw it on the charger when I need to for any of my phones, and I just check on it once in a while. Oh, it's charged, cool, you know, because it'll tell me, and then I can take it off and away I go. You know, you can leave it on the charger all night if you like. You can talk on the phone and charge it at the same time, which has come in handy on my LG numerous times in the last year, because I've talked and talked on this phone, and the battery life on this isn't quite as good as it is on my new Nexus. So, you know, there's been a few times that I've had to actually plug in and yak at the same time, and I can do that. So you can do the same thing with the Nexus as well. It's not a big deal. It doesn't hurt anything, so you'll be fine. But anyways, that's it. That's all. If you have questions or comments, feel free to leave them. I'll do the best as always to answer them. You know, and like I said, check out that website I told you about. Check out a lot of reviews online, and make your decision yourself. You know, I'm not the end all to be all when it comes to reviews on any products, you know. So it's my opinion, and this is how I think, this is how I feel, this is my knowledge on it. And you know, if problems are going to happen with phones, trust me, they rear their ugly heads within the first week, or sometimes even a lot less. But that's another story for another day. But it is true that if you're going to have a phone that's going to have issues, you'll find out in less than a month very easily if it's going to be a baddie. But that's why I also suggest and recommend to people, before you buy, check out reviews like mine and many others out there on YouTube, as well as written reviews, and do comparisons. Keep in mind there are a lot of reviews out there that aren't even reviews whatsoever, and some people will do bad reviews on some products that deserve good reviews just because they have no friggin' idea what kind of technology they have in their own fingers, and they don't understand it. It frustrates them, and they think it's junk, when it could very well be that it's junk, but it could also very well be that it's a very good solid product. That's why I say check out a lot of reviews before you buy anything. And shop around for best price too. I always do. Anyways, catch you later, guys.